Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, How to Make the Most Out of Your Accounts Payable Department. My name is Damien Andrews, and I'm with my colleague Alistair Ebers, who is our technical analyst. Today's presentation is going to be broken down into three sections: scanning and capture, processing and integration. We're going to start with literally the journey of an invoice through the Accounts Payable Department. So obviously we can start off with the scanning and capture. So Alistair, could we have a look at that, please? So obviously there's two main ways that invoices come into the company, either via the Royal Mail or via email. We would handle all the mail itself and scan it and capture all the required details, or we can monitor a email inbox and automatically capture the invoice from there. Okay, so we've got some invoices coming through. So Alistair, do you want to take us through this part?
Right. Good afternoon, my name is Alistair. I'm Dajon's technical analyst, and what we have on display for you right now is an example of the data capture software ingesting invoices via an email inbox. So we set up an accounts payable inbox to be monitored for new invoices, and as they come in, attached to emails, they will be scanned, captured, the data will be processed and pushed into the invoice processing software on the right hand side there. So on the left we've got our email inbox, and on the right is our automated accounts payable system. So we can see tasks are coming in as new invoices are submitted into the system for members of the accounts team to evaluate the invoices, code them and process them, and ultimately send them straight through to the accounts software. Before I process any tasks though, I should show you another method of getting invoices into the system. That is via the means of a watch folder. So we have some sample invoices here, and we have a watch folder down here. I'm just going to drag those invoices across, and this folder is being monitored by the data capture software, and as soon as it sees that there are new invoices to be captured, it will take them, scan them, capture them, process the information, much the same way that email ingestion works. So this would be a member of the accounts team seeing new invoices for them to evaluate. So yes, each individual row here represents a single invoice to be evaluated and processed.
Okay, so that's pretty much covering the scanning and the capture side. So now we'll move into the second part very quickly, which is the processing of the invoices. Alistair, do you want to take us through that?
Yes, so some manual intervention is required to process an invoice. Before the invoices even make it to our accountant's work queue, a number of rules have already been applied. A number of rules and a number of checks have been made. Checks on the invoice values to make sure the total adds up to the sum of the net and the tax, for instance. Rules such as if it's an invoice from a brand new supplier, it may have to be routed to a particular individual for them to add that new supplier to the accounting software. Duplicate invoices can be flagged as such for someone to confirm whether or not they're a duplicate and reject them if they are. Invoices below a certain amount could be automatically pushed through to the accounting software without any manual intervention. And being a bespoke system, the rules can be customized to your individual accounting department's requirements. They're not fixed or static. So without further ado, I'm going to open up an individual task. Here we have the task view for an individual invoice to be processed. On the right hand side, we've got the invoice itself, from which we captured all of this information down here. So the VAT number, account number, supplier name, dates, amounts, and so forth. And up here we've got instructions for how the invoice is to be processed. It's a very simple workflow with this presentation. It's a simple accept or reject. Accepting the invoice will send it through to the account software, and rejecting the invoice will send it through to someone else to handle the invoice that's been rejected. Just before I process the invoice, I can add some annotations to the invoice to either pass information between users or to redact certain information from people who shouldn't be able to see it. And I'm just going to create a little sticky note here. Sticky note. And I'm going to redact the VAT down here. And we can also add some rubber stamps.
And these are all editable, right? So you can change those received.
Yes,
Yeah.
these stamps can be customized, and these annotations don't edit the invoice in any way. They exist as a layer on top of it all, and they can all be hidden with the click of a button. The redaction actually brings to mind access control. Documents in the system can be restricted so that only certain designated users or groups of users can have access to certain types of documents. We can even restrict information that we've captured to particular users or groups of users, so we could hide the net value or the account number from only certain designated approved users, for example. Additionally, the invoices can be paired with a purchase order if one exists. We can match them directly by purchase order number if that happens to exist on the invoice, or we can match them by comparing the supplier name and net value and all the invoice values, in fact, and match them that way. Right, I think I've prattled on long enough. It's time to accept this invoice and send it through to the accounts software. Yes, so I'm just going to accept a few invoices, have them sent through to the accounts software. Of course, it's not good enough for the data to just be captured if it has to be manually input into your accounts software. So, it is possible through API integration for the automated invoice processing software to communicate with accounting softwares. In this case, we're using Xero, and you can see those invoices have been pushed through to Xero that were just accepted. They're awaiting payment now rather than awaiting approval because they were approved within the system. We have a white paper available detailing all the integrations that are currently available for the invoice processing system, such as Sage, QuickBooks, Xero, again, Microsoft Dynamics GP, SAP. It's not a problem if your particular accounting software isn't listed among those on the white paper, because if your software has an API or an open database, it can be integrated with. An integration, of course, isn't just about one-way pushing of invoices through to the accounting software. It is possible to pull information from the software to aid in verification of invoices, identification of duplicate invoices, pulling information to help the manual coding of invoices. And that's about all I have to say about integration. Searching. Right, so once the invoices have been processed, you may want to refer to them later. And since we index all of the invoices under all the fields that were captured, I should also mention that the fields we captured aren't fixed either. If there's additional information that needs to be captured from the invoice, such as payment terms or bank account numbers and so forth, the data capture software can be configured to capture those particular fields. In this case, we've just got invoice number, date, supplier account number, and the rest here. But since we have captured all of this information and indexed all the invoices under all these fields are searchable. So we can search for all invoices from a particular account number. We can search for invoices between a particular date range or between a particular net range. In this case, I'm just going to do a blank search for all invoices, and we can see the search results here. So we've got all the search results on the left hand side and the currently selected invoice on the right. One of the neat things about this search page is you can drill down into any one of these fields. You can see as I hover over them, they turn into a link. If I were to click on this particular supplier name, like so, it would do another search based on that field's value. So we've done a search for all Colpin & Sons invoices. Alternatively, I could click on a particular account number and it would do a search based on that account number, or I can do a click on the date, or any one of these fields basically. And from this page, documents can be exported, they can be emailed to people outside of the system. You can download an event history of the journey that invoices have taken through the system, when they arrived, when they were processed, who processed them, at what point they were posted to the account software, and so forth. And that brings me semi-neatly onto the analytics and reporting.
The analytics we've got here is really just some sample data, but it gives you an idea or a visual of what you can basically see when you're drilling into the system. So from top level, it really does just highlight areas of the process of how long things are taking, any bottlenecks, etc. Alistair, is there any more you want to add to this? Or I know it's just a brief overview of it, and just show the reporting sort of feature rather than an in-depth analysis of it. But is there anything more you can kind of show just to?
So yes, we have these dashboards that detail various metrics about users' productivity, and we can drill down into, from a very high level overview to a lower level view of individual tasks, perhaps individual groups of users or individual users themselves. And these dashboards come as standard with the system, but being a bespoke product, custom reports can be created to detail whatever metrics and statistics you would like to be produced by the system. And it needn't be productivity related. It could be to do with how much is being spent by particular departments, or on particular suppliers, or between particular dates, and so forth.
Okay, thanks everyone for attending. That brings us to the end of the webinar. We'll obviously be in contact with you all to sort of maybe personalise the presentation for your individual processes. Thanks very much.